Cost of Victory, Book 1 of the Unseen Scar series by C.R. Saxon. Chapter 30. You ate more than that before the fire, and your body's in desperate need of nutrition. John pushed the barely touched plate forward. Taking it, Ferdinand slid it behind him away from the thinker, and rubbed his belly. He'd already eaten one of his bars. There were more nutrients in one of those than in a week's worth of what John punished him with. Why should I have food when countless thousands are starving? Fewer people should mean more food to go around, but there was no one to pick and distribute. Having a personal chef was obscene and selfish. I don't feel well. Evil child. You'd feel better if you'd eat. You were doing well before the fire. I'd prove you wrong, but I'm tired of being sick. Ferdinand looked down, preparing himself for one last duty before he could rest. Destroy the one passion your ally has. Then, John hesitated. Then what? The exasperation in Ferdinand's voice said quite plainly he wasn't up for nagging. Then, are you ready to talk about what happened? What happened? Ferdinand parroted back. At the beginning of break. John didn't appreciate Ferdinand rolling his eyes. You were fine when you got on that boat. Ours was the first stop, so nothing happened. He doesn't care. No one cares about you. The same kind of nothing as when you stopped the virus? That ugly voice laughed cruelly. Between it and John, Ferdinand's face burned, only this time with anger. If he opened his mouth now, he'd prove he was uglier than the voice haunting him. Instead, he made his way to the door. Ferdinand, we're worried about you. The skeleton paused, so John continued. When Oya said you shouldn't go to the palace, I thought she was being her weird, silly self. Then I saw your back flogged, and it scared me. Scared all of us. We want to help you, but we can't fix anything if you won't talk to us. All of you look too deeply into things. She said that to him? Why? It didn't make sense. Yet his heart ached in longing and shame. Why would she care about me? Why would she care enough about me to do anything? Who could care about you? Ferdinand. He kept his back to John. There's nothing to fix. Nothing happened. Oya is Oya, silly and nonsensical. I should think a thinker was smarter than this. This entire conversation. Any more and he'd be yelling. But she cared enough to think of him. It made him realize how cold and alone he felt when she wasn't there. His life before her, it was a long winter's night. Ferdinand! John tried commanding his attention. Pathetic. Ignoring both annoyances, Ferdinand forced his body to move. Sore and stiff, his skin felt like old paper, crinkling and crackling with each step. Where are you going? Battle lost, John followed the gent outside. To see my general off. Ferdinand's head flinched to the side as if something flew too close to his ear, but nothing was there. You're unwell. Tanalia will understand you not coming. John insisted while the skeleton grimaced with each step. Aside from minor cooking burns, he had no idea what his ally was feeling right now. It looked far from pleasant. Why is he always so stubborn? She's my general. Yeah, and she'll understand. Didn't she order you to rest and eat? She's not the only person I answer to. The ground was suddenly closer to Ferdinand's foot than he was expecting, shocking a gasp from him. Careful! John reached out to steady the skeleton, but the gent jerked away, causing himself more pain. Right. He doesn't like being touched. Why was that so hard to remember? Ozar rushed over when they came into view. Why are you out here, little brother? Pain glowed in those blue crystals, as Ferdinand backed slowly away from both brothers. I apologize, Hayo. I'm here to see my general. Ah, she's talking to Samuel. Ozar grinned, despite the boy using his title. She's trying to convince him to stay a while. Ferdinand turned 5 shades of red and hid behind his overgrown hair. My apologies. For what? I agree with her. Ozar laughed, while his baby brother smirked. I'd be happy with him staying. As much as I love my island family, they can't replace you gents. John gave Ozar a squeeze, or whatever a child is capable of giving a redwood. Ignoring them, Ferdinand hurried off. Once the boy was out of sight, Ozar knelt, putting himself at eye level with his baby brother. There's something I need to tell you. What is it? Those serious words made John's heart race. We would have spoken sooner, but you were spending so much time with Ferdinand. I knew you couldn't keep it from him, and it's important he heals. What? John felt his heart rate triple. Ferdinand and Oya saved those 2 from the fire, but there was a 3rd in the building. What? That knocked John off his feet. How hadn't he heard? But he spent every hour with one of his brothers since the fire. The only ones he'd been around were them, Ferdinand, Oya, and the general. Ferdinand's apprentices were showing Zhao's sister the lab. The explosion killed her instantly and buried the other 2. Elby had just gotten free when Ferdinand and Oya arrived. It wasn't often John was shocked beyond words. There he stood, mouth agape, unable to do more. Ozar's face contorted. Whatever he was about to say, he didn't want to say it. Ferdinand will find out eventually. We need you to be there when he does. Can you do this? How could John help anyone when he was still reeling from the shock? Not today, of course. Oya already knows. She volunteered to be with Ferdinand till you're able. Swallowing hard, John stepped forward and hugged his brother. I'll do my best. From here it looked like his general and Samuel were haggling. What's Zhao doing here? The older boy approached them, stance sure and purposeful. That wasn't the Zhao Ferdinand was used to seeing. Meddlesome. Curiosity sparked, ignoring the voice. The skeleton's pace picked back up. He hid behind a pile of luggage within earshot. When Samuel finished, he turned to find Zhao waiting. I'm sorry to interrupt, Zhao bowed, voice rough. Thank you for personally caring for my sister till she reaches home. I'm sorry we can't do more. Samuel's answer was soft, delicate. Throwing back his shoulders with the air and dignity of a true new, Zhao bowed to the healer. Even if it's a simple thing for you, it means the world to my family. I can in no way repay your kindness. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like me to deliver to your mother? Samuel asked solemnly. Why do they sound sad? What's going on? Tell her I love her. She'll love hearing it. Another thank you, and Zhao returned from where he came. Ferdinand pushed the conversation from his mind and approached his general. Coward. Ferdinand! Tenalia's shout was disappointment personified. What are you doing out of bed? Go to bed. John rubbed sleepy, unfocused eyes. Can't sleep. Wide-eyed and jittery, Ferdinand toyed with the machine he'd recently built. Do you have any idea what time it is? 4:26 in the morning. Ferdinand answered a little too quickly. Having a tiny bit of energy doesn't mean it's time to start working. I'll be picking you up off the floor again. It's a short walk to the boats, Ferdinand blushed. I wanted fresh air, too. You'll get sick, pushing yourself too hard. Reddening all the more, Ferdinand bowed as far as his skin would let him. Safe journeys, my general. Don't be so formal with your aunt. When she moved to hug him, he gasped and shrank away. I'm so sorry. Defect. No, it's not your fault. I'm sorry, General. It was amusing watching the two dance back and forth in a never-ending quest for responsibility, until it became ridiculous. Oya cleared her throat, garnering both of their attentions. My apologies. I'm stealing my friend when you're done. Oya grinned at the relief filling Ferdinand's face. Happiness flitted there for a moment, before he pushed it away. Why does he always do that? Why can't he let himself feel good? Agitated, glowing orbs vibrated in disapproval. That's not it? Tenalia smiled. Thank you for caring for him. Make sure he doesn't overexert himself. Of course. He wouldn't do me any good sick. Oya gave her usual mischievous grin. It's time for me to board. Tenalia turned back to Ferdinand, but kept a few feet from him. I'll tell Zephyr about your injuries, so he can make sure you heal properly. Every ounce of color drained from Ferdinand, leaving him dizzy. You don't have to trouble our prince with such a petty thing. Petty? Your health is hardly trivial. There are more important matters pressing on him. Tenalia's concerned frown was something only Oya saw. Ferdinand kept his eyes on the ground, leaning forward as far as he could. Unnatural green eyes glowed brightly. Care of, I'll make sure he's taken. Thank you, Oya. With this they said a final farewell, and Oya followed Ferdinand back to his suite.